Welcome, everyone, to Creating Multidisciplinary Partnerships. I'm Rachel Hatfield with the Disability Innovation Fund Technical Assistance, or DIFTA team, and I will be co-presenting this session with a teammate, Alex Brock. In this session, we'll explore how collaborations across disciplines drives innovation, scalability, and sustainability for the DIF project. Different disciplines bring unique methods, tools, and problem-solving approaches. Innovation thrives when you combine insights from technology, education, rehabilitation, employment services, and lived experiences. Complex challenges facing people with disabilities often require interdisciplinary solutions. No single sector can address access, workforce, and policy alone. When partners come together to share ideas, resources, and responsibilities, the solutions they create last longer and help more people. Think of collaboration not as a checkbox, but as a core strategy to ensure your project has a lasting impact. Real change usually starts when everyone is on board and working together. Slide 2, Learning Objectives. By the end of this session, you'll be able to understand the value of multidisciplinary collaboration, identify strategies to initiate and sustain partnerships, learn techniques for aligning goals, sharing resources, and ongoing communication, and use grantee insights to craft action steps. We'll move from why collaboration matters to how you can put it into practice. Collaborative partnerships that include a range of experiences can lead to better outcomes for individuals and communities. Building connections establishes shared ownership, enabling consistent progress monitoring, evaluation, and adaptation. Slide 3, Why Collaboration Matters Under the DIF Program. DIF projects prioritize innovation because of the overreaching goal of the DIF program is to identify, test, and scale new approaches that improve employment outcomes for individuals with disabilities, especially those who face the greatest barriers to competitive integrated employment. The DIF program is designed not only to pilot new strategies, but also generate evidence about what is effective. Innovation is prioritized to test promising practices that haven't yet been tried in vocational VR settings, learn from real-world implementation, and create replica models that state VR agencies and others can adopt at scale. Partnering across fields brings fresh expertise that pushes your project further, and it persists beyond the grant period. In this session, we'll tackle 3 core areas: starting partnerships, keeping them strong, and overcoming inevitable bumps along the way.
Slide 4, Building Blocks for Successful Collaboration. Alex here. Whether you're building something new or refining existing efforts, these building blocks can help you work more effectively with others, align goals, and stay focused when challenges arise. Initiating partnerships is a key building block because it builds shared vision and trust from the start, establishes roles and values, and fosters innovation early. Sustaining collaboration is another key building block since it ensures long-term impact, builds systems of accountability, and leads to better understanding across systems. The last building block of navigating challenges cannot be overlooked since it strengthens resilience and builds adaptive capacity. Now let's use some of these building blocks in some DIF project examples. An example of initiating partnerships is when a grantee focused on transition-aged youth invited local employers, schools, and a youth advisory group to a kickoff meeting. The early input from this meeting shaped the project's design and built buy-in before implementation even began. An example of sustaining collaboration is when a grantee scheduled bi-monthly partner huddles with tech developers, VR staff, and disability advocates when developing a digital accessibility tool. When technical terms were causing confusion, they co-created a shared glossary to stay aligned. Lastly, an example of navigating challenges is where one project ran into tension when data sharing protocols weren't clear. Instead of letting frustration build, they brought in a neutral TA provider who helped them revise their Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, and establish clearer processes. Slide 5. Initiating partnerships, finding, and approaching. Let's start by talking about finding and approaching potential partners. How do you even know who you should be partners with? Look at your existing network. Who's missing? For example, are educators, employers, or individuals with lived experience represented? Look at where goals fell short or where feedback was limited. Consider thinking to yourself, did we include the right voices to shape this? Next, consider your current partners. Are there perspectives we're not hearing or expertise missing from the project? Are there stages in a person's journey, for example, school to work transition or post-employment support, where no partner is currently involved? Are you including partners from healthcare, housing, transportation, or technology when relevant, or just staying within your immediate field? When you determine there is someone else you should be partnering with, research them ahead of time. Dig into prospective partners' goals so you can clearly show how partnership benefits both sides. Speak directly to their motivations. What's in it for them? Slide 6. Creating a stakeholder map. First, let's begin with what is a stakeholder map. A stakeholder map is a visual tool that identifies individuals, groups, or organizations impacted by or involved in your project. It helps understand influence, interest, and relationships. Why should you use one? It clarifies roles and priorities, identifies gaps like who's missing, and it strengthens engagement and communication strategies. How do you develop one? This can be done internally and as a group effort with current stakeholders to gather additional perspectives and input. List your known stakeholders, both internal and external. Group them by type, for example, funders, service providers, and participants. Assess their influence and interest using a matrix. And ask yourself, who's missing? Who needs a voice? Don't forget, update it regularly. The payoff is stronger communication, more comprehensive practices, and better alignment with people who matter most to your project's success. Feel free to pause the video and reflect and write down some ideas for your team's stakeholder map.
Rachel here. Slide 7, Reaching Potential Partners. When you determine what partners you should engage, do your research. You can do that in several ways. Visit their website, look at the About Us section, review their mission and project pages, review their annual reports or strategic plans if applicable, and follow them on LinkedIn or social media to see current campaigns and partnerships. Look up recent news articles or press releases from and about the organization. Search the National Clearinghouse of Rehabilitation Training Materials or NCRTM's website to see if they have any products posted in its library. As you explore a potential partnership, take time to really understand the organization before making contact. You're trying to answer these three key questions. What are they focused on right now? Are they launching a new initiative? Talking about a particular priority? Their current focus tells you how to approach the conversation. Who are their existing partners? This can give you insight into how they collaborate, whether they've worked with organizations like yours before, and whether they can open the door to additional partners for you. How might your goals align? Think about where your missions overlap. What mutual outcomes could you support together? Doing this homework builds credibility and shows that you're not just reaching out with a generic ask. You're approaching them with a purpose and a clear understanding of how your collaboration could be meaningful to them. Slide 8, Reaching Potential Partners. Example scenario. Consider this scenario. A DIV grantee is piloting a work-based learning program for youth adults with disabilities in rural communities. They want to engage with a regional hospital as an employer partner. The grantee reviews the hospital's website, annual report, and community engagement page and discovers it already offers internships for nursing and administrative students. This prepares you to discuss how they source candidates for their internships and how you can support them in identifying and placing candidates. Slide 9, Reaching Potential Partners. Example messaging. Now, let's craft a message that's aligned with one of their goals mentioned on the website. We notice that the Harmony Hospital is committed to building their workforce and creating pathways for underrepresented groups. Our project offers hands-on training and support for young adults with disabilities from rural areas to gain real work experience. We'd love to explore how this could align with your workforce development goals while building a pipeline of skilled, motivated candidates.
Slide 10, Stakeholder Mapping, Power Interest Matrix. Now that we've laid the groundwork, let's turn our attention to the Power Interest Matrix, a key tool that brings structure and clarity to our planning efforts. On the matrix, in the top left, we have Keep Satisfied, high power, low interest. On the top right, Manage Closely, high power, high interest. In the bottom left, Monitor, low power, low interest. And in the bottom right, Keep Informed, low power, high interest. Let's take a closer look at how the matrix helps guide our next steps and see how it all comes together in a more organized, actionable way. A power interest matrix is used in stakeholder analysis to help identify how to engage stakeholders based on two key factors. Power, this refers to the level of influence a stakeholder has over the project. Stakeholders with high power can significantly affect the outcome either by facilitating progress or creating roadblocks. Power may come from decision-making authority, control over resources, expertise, or strong connections to leadership. For example, a state VR agency director would likely have high power, as their decisions can directly impact program priorities and funding. This dimension is typically placed on the vertical axis of the matrix. Interest, this refers to the level of involvement or concern a stakeholder has in the project. Stakeholders with high interest are those affected by the outcomes or who actively engage in project activities. For example, a local community-based organization providing job placement services to individuals with disabilities might have high interest because they work directly with your target population and care about how your project succeeds. Interest is generally placed on the horizontal axis of the matrix. You can use the matrix shown to list stakeholders, assess their power and interest, and assign them to a quadrant. Map stakeholders by their power to influence and their interest level. This helps you to decide who to engage with closely, who to consult, and who to keep informed. List recommended engagement strategies for each quadrant. Once completed, the matrix can help you tailor communication strategies to each partner. It ensures that key influencers are actively engaged and supports collaborative planning with stakeholders like employers, schools, or state agencies. Let's discuss the matrix using a DIF project example. A DIF grantee is developing a mobile career exploration tool for transition-aged youth with disabilities. The goal is to improve access to job pathways and connect youth with VR services earlier. Using the matrix, we set a state VR agency as a high-power, high-interest stakeholder. They provide funds and long-term support for sustainability. As you can imagine, this is a partner we want to engage with closely. We would want to involve them in the planning, feedback loops, and policy alignment. Now let's consider another stakeholder, potential local employers. Consider we're at the start of our project and have not yet fully engaged with many employers. They would benefit from the project in the long term, but are currently uninvolved. In this scenario, we would set employers as a low-power, low-interest stakeholder. So what do you think our collaboration strategy will be here? We would monitor or explore opportunities with these employers while providing information on the project and gauge potential for future collaboration. Let's take a moment to reflect on how we can use the matrix. Think about one of your current stakeholders. Feel free to grab some paper and jot down information about the matrix from the slide and input your project stakeholders' level of interest and level of power. You can also download and use the Power Interest Matrix, accessible via the link below the video. Go ahead and pause the video to complete this task, and don't forget to add what your collaboration strategy will be with the stakeholder. Slide 11, Clear and Purposeful Communication. As partnerships grow, so does the need for clear, purposeful communication. One of the biggest barriers seen, especially in multidisciplinary teams, is miscommunication rooted in language. Every discipline, stakeholder group, or lived experience brings its own vocabulary, priorities, and ways of expressing ideas. That's why adjusting how we communicate is just as important as what we communicate. Technical fields love acronyms, but use plain language when you cross disciplines. Always lead with benefits, not buzzwords. When working across disciplines, or with youth, families, or individuals with intellectual or developmental disabilities, it's critical to adjust your language to match your audience's needs. Every group speaks a different language. A workforce development partner might talk in terms of credentials and pipelines, while a family member is thinking about daily support and long-term independence. Avoid jargon when it doesn't serve clarity. Instead, use plain language and relatable examples that meet your listener where they are. The goal is shared understanding, not technical precision. With professionals, be concise and data-driven. With families, focus on outcomes and how it affects daily life. With young adults or individuals with disabilities, use plain language and visuals where helpful. Slide 12. Why tailoring your message to the audience matters. Why does tailoring your message matter so much? Because people listen differently when they feel like you understand them. When you tailor your message to your audience, whether it's leadership, service providers, community members, or participants, you're showing that you value their perspective, and that builds trust. It also makes your communication clearer and more effective. If you're presenting technical data to a non-technical audience, you need to translate it into plain language and focus on what it means for them. If you're speaking with decision makers, they may want outcomes and return on investment, not process details. When we don't tailor messages, we risk confusion, misconnections, or even resistance. People may tune out or misinterpret your goals. So, how do we tailor? It starts with knowing your audience. What do they care about? How do they communicate? And what concerns or questions might they have? Then adapt your tone, content, and delivery to meet them where they are. The result is not just better communication, it's stronger relationships and more informed, effective decisions. Different stakeholders care about different outcomes. Tailoring your request ensures your message resonates and motivates action. Funders, employers, VR counselors, educators, and people with disabilities all have distinct priorities and constraints. Speaking to those directly helps improve clarity and buy-in. Here are some tips to apply when tailoring your messaging. Know your audience's values and language. What matters most to them? Cost effectiveness, compliance, innovation, or outcomes? Frame your ask in terms of shared goals. For example, when approaching an employer, emphasize talent development and business value, not compliance or mandates. And be specific. A vague request for support is less effective than, would you co-host a training on hiring practices with us in September?
Slide 13. Choose the right channel of communication. Choosing the right communication channel might seem like a small decision, but it can make or break your message. Using the wrong method can delay, distort, or even derail important information, especially when working across agencies, organizations, or sectors that each have different communication environments. Some rely heavily on email, others prefer real-time messaging, regular meetings, or formal memos. And sometimes you may want to consider who's delivering the message. Is there a recognized, trusted person who can initiate messaging to increase the receptivity of those you're reaching out to? This could be someone they already partner with or receive services from, or it could be an industry representative or expert in the field. So, why does the channel matter? Because the right one helps ensure your message is received, understood, and acted upon when it matters. Consider the complexity of your message. Is this a quick update or does it require discussion? Does your audience prefer written summaries or will a short call be more effective? And think about accessibility. Communication should work for everyone. This means using captioned videos, plain language summaries, alternative text for visuals, and formats that are screen reader friendly. Ultimately, the key is alignment, matching your message, audience, and communication goals to the most effective channel. When you do that well, your information travels farther, faster, and makes a bigger impact. Slide 14. Establishing a shared vision. To sustain effective collaboration, start by forming strong relationships and aligning your goals. A shared vision is the foundation of any lasting partnership. Without it, collaborations can quickly unravel. Begin by asking, what does success look like for each partner? Co-create a mission or vision that reflects mutual priorities and shared purpose. This helps ensure you're not just working side by side, but moving forward together. Be specific when setting goals. Are you trying to improve employment outcomes, expand community access, strengthen youth transition services? Break these big goals into clear, measurable, and time-bound steps that everyone agrees on. Equally important, clarify each partner's role from the beginning. This helps prevent role drift. That is when someone starts taking on tasks outside of what was agreed. Like when a partner originally supporting data collection begins to take over evaluation design. These blurred lines can lead to confusion and misalignment. Once goals are clear, use tools to keep everyone on the same page. Consider these tools: Trello, Asana, or Monday.com for visual project tracking, Smartsheet for structured planning with dashboards and forums, Google Workspace or Microsoft 365 for shared calendars, documents, and templates, Jamboard or Miro for collaborative brainstorming, Google Forms for quick partner input, voting tools to help set shared priorities. Sustaining collaboration also means keeping communication active. Build in regular feedback loops and check-ins. Try this: monthly or quarterly partner meetings where each member shares updates, concerns, and support needs. Use a standing agenda that includes a progress and concerns section to keep the discussion focused and intentional. And don't forget to celebrate success. Sharing success boosts morale and reinforces shared purpose. It also encourages continued innovation and effort. Here are some examples of celebrating success. Build a digital yearbook or summary report of accomplishments. Create a wall of wins, physical or digital. Use collaborative tools like Kudo boards or Slack shoutouts. Finally, be willing to adapt. Revisit your vision, goals, and roles periodically. Partnerships that evolve are the ones that last. Sustaining collaboration isn't just about planning, it's about listening and adjusting in real time. Slide 15, Sustaining Collaboration. Once partnerships are initiated, how do you keep them sustained and strong? Here are some practical tools for ongoing collaboration. Turn your initial agreements into living documents. Develop partnership charters. These are living documents that define roles, responsibilities, meeting schedules, shared goals, timelines, and a plan for sharing staff time and budget. They help prevent role confusion and provide a structure to revise when issues arise. Have regular check-ins. These could be monthly or quarterly, and they don't have to be long. Use them to share updates, revisit goals, and resolve any tension before it grows. Utilize resource sharing plans. Who's contributing staff time, office space, funding, materials? Evaluation helps determine whether the collaboration is achieving its goals, both in terms of process, how partners are working together, and outcomes, what's being achieved for participants. Without evaluation, collaboration can stagnate, drift off course, or miss critical issues. Measure both the what and the how. Track shared goals, for example, employment outcomes, as well as partnership health like communication, trust, role clarity. Use data to strengthen, not blame. Evaluation should be a learning tool, not a judgment. Focus on improving the collaboration, not assigning fault. Lastly, Adapting ensures the collaboration remains relevant, inclusive, and effective over time. No collaboration stays static. External changes like policy, funding, or leadership shifts require responsive and flexible partnerships. Be open to evolving roles and strategies. As trust grows, some partners may take on new responsibilities, or new partners may be needed. Respond to what the data and partners are telling you. Adapt in response to evaluation findings, client feedback, or shifting community needs. Embedded in an expectation of flexibility. Create processes where change is expected, not resisted, such as regularly visited goals and timelines.
Slide 16, a scenario to consider. Let's look at a scenario. A DIF project is developing a career navigation tool co-designed with youth with disabilities, VR staff, and community-based organizations. How could this grantee initiate collaboration? How could this grantee maintain momentum and evaluate their success? And how could they adapt to feedback? To initiate collaboration, the grantee brought together a cross-sector team, including Youth Advisory Council members, state VR agency representatives, local workforce board representatives, and technology developers. They started with an MOU, clearly defined roles, and a kickoff retreat to build shared understanding and trust. To maintain momentum, they scheduled monthly check-ins for all partners, shared brief progress updates via email every 2 weeks, and celebrated small wins, things like completing user testing milestones. This consistency kept partners engaged and reduced drop-off. So in this scenario, how would the project evaluate their success? At the 6-month mark, they sent out a short feedback survey to partners. They learned that youth participants wanted more influence over design decisions. VR counselors requested simpler messaging about the tool's benefits. Several respondents indicated that the timing of the monthly check-ins was difficult for them to attend. So, how did the grantee adapt to this feedback? Based on the stakeholder input, the Youth Advisory Group began co-leading usability sessions. The team revised training materials for VR counselors, and they adjusted the meeting times to better accommodate all time zones. The result? The collaboration stayed strong across the project's 18-month span and positioned the tool for long-term adoption by VR and community partners. Slide 17, managing conflict with partners. Conflict isn't failure, it's a signal. In fact, when handled well, conflict can foster growth and lead to deeper understanding and stronger outcomes. Even with the best of intentions, collaboration isn't always smooth. Let's talk through some common challenges and how to navigate them. Different priorities or communication styles need to be understood. For example, a state agency might focus on compliance and reporting, while a community-based organization may prioritize flexibility and relationships. Acknowledge these differences early. Use methods we mentioned earlier, like shared timelines, simple dashboards, or facilitated meetings to stay on the same page. Balancing roles and responsibilities. Overlap can happen. Be alert for role drift. Go back to your partnership charter or agreement and check whether any responsibilities need to be reassigned or clarified. Adapt to change mid-project. Maybe a partner's staffing changes or a policy shift alters your direction. Build in regular check-ins so you can adjust together and stay aligned. Be flexible where necessary. Managing differences in influence or authority. Not all partners have the same access to decision-making, data, or resources. Make space for all voices by rotating who leads meetings, using shared note-taking tools, or making sure everyone has a chance to speak or contribute to decisions. Slide 18, conflict resolution and when to walk away. Just as setting goals is important, so are respecting boundaries. Each organization has its own mission, capacity, and constraints. Not everyone can or should do everything. Be clear on what's in and out of scope for each partner from the start. Use structured techniques like interest-based negotiation when conflicts arise. Interest-based negotiation focuses on shared interest rather than fixed positions. It encourages open dialogue and mutual problem solving and aims for win-win outcomes and stronger relationships. Here's an example of an interest-based negotiation. Instead of defending positions, ask, what do we really need? What's motivating our concern? Focus on shared interest. Bring in a neutral third party. Sometimes having a facilitator or external provider helps conflict get unstuck. For example, an outside facilitator who's neutral from a local university center, nonprofit coalition, or consulting group can be brought in to help resolve tensions between partners. There are some other examples of neutral third parties to consider in conflict resolution, such as alternative dispute resolution services or professional facilitators with no stake in the partnership. Have a plan for when things go off track. What is your conflict resolution process? Who makes the final decision? Finally, sometimes you realize a partnership is no longer a good fit, and that's okay. Know when to walk away respectfully. If values or missions are too misaligned, or if trust has eroded beyond repair, ending the partnership can make room for more effective ones.
Slide 19, Voices from the Field. This is Rachel. Now let's hear from two successful grantees. They'll share how they align missions, bridge jargon gaps, build trust, and manage conflict on their projects. The first grantee is Volunteers of America, Texas. This grantee has established an extensive network of partnerships encompassing education, basic needs, and specialized service. These partnerships are tailored to meet the unique needs of individual participants, ensuring that they deliver quality support. They regularly analyze and assess these partnerships through their continuous quality assurance process to determine their effectiveness and whether to renew agreements after the initial one-year term. The second grantee is Aspire. Aspire has a shared purpose, one that's remained the same since they started over 6 decades ago, to be an ally to people with disabilities, working together to pursue greater possibilities and create better communities in the process. Now, let's get into the questions. What is one barrier you have experienced in cross-agency collaboration, and how did you overcome it?
Hi, this is Bianca. One significant barrier we have encountered is lack of consistent communication among agencies. This can lead to misaligned goals and duplicated efforts. To overcome this, we propose establishing regular cross-agency meetings and communication channels to foster transparency and alignment.
Transportation logistics have been a barrier to effective cross-agency collaboration, whether it's staff traveling between locations, clients accessing services, or coordinating in-person meetings across geographically spread teams. We can overcome this by incorporating more hybrid meeting options, coordinating shared transportation resources where feasible, and considering co-location or mobile service delivery models to bring agencies and clients closer together.
This is Rachel. Which of your organization's strengths could support a larger partnership?
Yes, this is Bianca again. Our organization excels in resource mobilization, community engagement, and data-driven decision-making. These strengths position us well to support larger multidisciplinary partnerships by providing expertise in engaging stakeholders and maximizing resource efficiency.
Garrett again with Aspire. Our organization's strength in data analysis and performance tracking can significantly support a larger partnership. By providing actionable insights, we can help all partners measure impact, identify opportunities, and drive more strategic decisions across agencies. This stems from Aspire having a strong business foundation that they build upon.
Rachel here. What's one small step grantees could take in the next 30 days to foster stronger collaboration?
Yes, this is Bianca. With VOA, in the next 30 days, we suggest initiating a partnership roundtable involving key stakeholders. This event will serve as a platform for sharing perspectives, identifying collaborative opportunities, and setting actionable goals to enhance your collective impact.
Garrett again. In the next 30 days, we could launch a pilot cross-agency working group focused on one shared project or initiative. Even a bi-weekly 30-minute virtual huddle to share updates, needs, and challenges would begin to build trust and momentum for broader collaboration.
This is Rachel, slide 20. Key takeaways from grantees. Thank you, VOA and Aspire, for your insights. Based on these insights, here are some questions your team can use to guide your own collaborative efforts. What ideas or strategies from the panel align with the challenges or opportunities in your project? How can we apply what we heard today to strengthen our partnerships, data practices, or service delivery? And what do we need to evaluate or revisit in our current work based on this new information?
Slide 21. Closing and call to action. So here's the call to action. Use tools, lean into collaboration, evaluate what works, and adapt with intention. The systems we change today will shape access and opportunity for years to come. Let's make that change sustainable, measurable, and engaging together. Slide 22. Contact information. Thank you, and please reach out anytime at diffta@neweditions.net. We're here to support you in your multidisciplinary partnerships. Please also be sure to visit the National Clearinghouse of Rehabilitation Training Materials, or NCRTM, at ncrtm.ed.gov for additional information and resources to help with your project.
Disclaimer. The contents of this presentation were developed under contract 91990023 D0037-91990024 F0395 from the U.S. Department of Education Department. The department does not mandate or prescribe practices, models, or other activities described or discussed in this presentation. The contents of this presentation may contain examples of, adaptations of, and links to resources created and maintained by another public or private organization. The department does not control or guarantee the accuracy, relevance, timeliness, or completeness of this outside information. The contents of this presentation does not necessarily represent the policy of the department. This presentation is not intended to represent the views or policy of, or be an endorsement of any views expressed or materials provided by any federal agency. Edgar 75.620.